I'm in search of conversation guests. If you are interested or know someone that might be interested, please contact me directly. Thank you. Started. All right, Patrick, so give me some current events. What have you been up to, man, since what? It's been almost 10 years since we've seen each other?
Yeah. So best thing that happened last month is I was converted full-time employment role with ServiceNow after doing this contractual work for 3 years, almost 4.
Yeah.
That's kind of a good little change of pace.
Awesome.
I don't like doing like the full-time stuff. What's really funny is I'm actually working with a lot of U.S. government entities, DoD included. Can't mention the names, unfortunately, but it's pretty exciting. It's kind of all the greatness that I heard with working for a Silicon Valley company, because you've got RSUs, auction, stock opts. You can buy a company stock. This is like stock that's like yours. It's not this fictional stuff that kind of disappears. That's been like the biggest improvement as of late.
That's awesome.
Other than that, I still live in San Diego. I currently reside with my girlfriend down in Little Italy. Just been here for 2.5 years, so
yeah, Little Italy. So
it's like downtown, the next part of downtown.
Okay. Is that a little bit north of downtown? Just a tiny bit north? I mean, it's like pretty much on the edge.
Yeah, it's still considered downtown, but
okay.
it's like on the edge. If you know where Waterfront Park is, that whole strip is like and a little bit of portion that's in the flight path.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Does your company with the stock options, have you seen, say GameStop, have you been watching GameStop stock? Have you been watching that because of the news at all?
Yes, I actually fell victim of it too, but not with GameStop, but with Nokia. I was hoping that one would actually be like a company that could actually not just go bankrupt, because it didn't work out as well. It seemed like a cryptocurrency pump and dump, which was kind of upsetting. So I'm down. But I didn't put that much into it, so. But it really showed the true light of what Robinhood is and all these other ETFs. So.
Yeah. Have you heard of the recent Robinhood news where they shut off trading on GameStop?
I couldn't actually sell my Knox stock, because that was one of the things that was on the blacklist of things that you can actually sell. What was surprising to me is they made more money. How did they make more money than they ever have? And that just shows me kind of how.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then I heard.
This video is going, so I'll stop there.
What was that?
I don't know where this video is going, so I'll stop there with my passionate hedge fund owners.
So you're, as in you're not allowed to.
No, I'm just messing.
What was I thinking? The GameStop, Robinhood. I heard Robinhood, they got like a $3 billion funding thing afterwards.
That was more money than they had ever made as a whole.
That sounds weird that they have.
They told these hedge funds are like, no more trading.
Yeah, how could they get more traffic? Stop the buying traffic at the height of their transactions, the height of probably the quantity of transactions, pause it, but yet still get $3 billion in funding from other places. That seems, for me, I don't know if that's conspiracy theory. That to me seems like the hedge fund managers wanted them to stop selling or allowing people to buy GameStop, and then later on they got money from those same people.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Is these, the hedge funds lost 50% of their value. They're still billions of dollars even after that loss. They had enough to give GameStop probably quite a lump sum, because instead of losing 75% or 80%, which may have been the result of the trading still being allowed, that's probably what it is. Well, you did good enough, I guess. Here you go. You did what we told you almost immediately.
Yeah. Any other random current events that kind of just you're interested, whether it be Biden, Trump, North Korea? Actually, I haven't.
I haven't
Sorry,
been
Jeff.
following North Korea that much, except I know that there's like be a female leader, like Kim Jong Un's like sister. Is that what I heard?
Yeah,
Yes.
the thing I heard was that she's getting a lot of power over there, but I haven't heard any news on if she's would take over or what. That seems, I don't know, and I'm not trying to be sexist or yeah, I'm not trying to be sexist, but I wouldn't imagine in a Asian traditional culture, especially one that's like a dictatorship that North Korea that's kind of held back in the times. I don't think they would respect women as much as men. Not that I don't think I think we should all respect each other, but if I were to guess what their culture is like, it would be surprising to put a female in charge.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm wondering if that's actually going to happen. That would be what the country needs. Is to
Yeah.
be more open and not so secretive.
Yeah, I don't. Well, some of the photos and the news reports shows that she's pretty strict. So it won't. It seems like it wouldn't really change much. But that's going off of some of the articles I read maybe looking at some of the photos. She looks pretty mean.
She's been brainwashed by legacy, just like all the other leadership.
Yeah. Any other current events like Jeff Bezos? Anything that?
That's kind of crazy with Jeff Bezos, but that makes you wonder: do you have to be? Is that what you have to know? How old do you have to be to retire? I'm just kidding.
Ah.
Because I know a lot of people, a lot of millennials nowadays are like thinking about how do I retire early? I have to like now make these like choices. It's almost like opportunity cost. I can own a house or retire early, and
Yeah.
like militarian for 20 years. That's really been an interesting thing that I've been hearing out of all ages, and I've seen successful like Gen Xers that have actually been able to retire. But is that still something that we can pursue with all the
Yeah.
crap going on and like inflation and how things are kind of controlled? It's way back when in like the 50s, you could work at McDonald's and have a place in California, a full detached home, and raise their kids. But now it's like you can't even live in California if you have that career nowadays. It's interesting that whole paradigm shift of how currency is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the other way to look at it with even more of my conspiracy theories, I don't think it's conspiracy theory. It's if you look at the economy, like say in our lifetime, say about 20 years ago, you could buy a car for $15,000. Nowadays, it's about $30,000, $40,000 for a decent car. So
Yeah.
has our salaries gone up double since then? Like, so you just say certain things cost double, but our
Mhm.
salaries don't seem to have gone up by double. So if you just do the math, that's a bad outcome for normal people. Normal people, that means their salary is able to buy less. So when you're talking about retirement, I think it's getting tougher and tougher. And I don't know if the golden age of America is abound anymore.
They keep raising it. They're like, oh, now you have to be 65 to get certain things that you've been saving up for all your life.
Yeah, yeah,
To like have full access. I think 401 is still like that half, whatever. But
yeah,
never know, that could change. It kind of goes hand in hand with life expectancy.
yeah.
They
Um,
engineered.
do you dabble in stocks at all? I mean, you work.
Yeah, as of recent, I did, and I had
Okay.
the opportunity to buy.
Any interesting stories from all that?
Not really. Nothing like crazy, no crazy gains. But now it's as an adult, I feel like you really have to wake up at 6 a.m. or earlier to know futures on
Hmm.
or the next day ability to trade it. I've heard a lot of success stories of that. Um, Most of the time, it's just like what I've done in retirement. It's been pretty low risk and gainful, which is, I think now it's really interesting to me with all this stuff happening, Wall Street bets. That's kind of something I'm more interested in. And my girlfriend's way more interested in. But I try to explain to her that's not stocks. That's pretty much that's not, it's almost resemblant to like cryptocurrency. And I mean, we definitely are probably going to focus on it more, even though all this stuff goes away with Wall Street bets. Because I think now it's kind of saturated with a bunch of degenerates and bots. So kind of actually level again. I think a lot is going to change. It's probably not going to be what was defined as stock trading.
Yeah.
Last year, prior to that.
Yeah.
I take it you do?
No, I take. No, I would say I take an interest in stocks, but I'm not really heavily involved every day or even weekly. Once in a while, if I hear something, then I'll just take a look. But it was mainly just a 401k when you're working at a company and just drop in the matching amount or more if you can. Yeah, for a while I was putting like 18%, I think 15 or 18% of my paycheck into 401k.
There you go.
Yeah.
If you can diversify, it's worth it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at my company they have like these funds, and it's almost too simple where you could diversify because they'll have one that's titled like new market fund, which is supposed to be more technology based, and then there's it's weird because I don't even understand the titles. There's like another one that's like new world fund that's supposed to be more oil based. I was like, how is somebody supposed to know this by looking at these titles? But they made it fairly easy where there's probably only like 10 it looks like to choose from, and you just kind of, I want tech related, I want oil related, I want commodities or something, and then
That's cool.
yeah, they made it pretty easy. But as for cryptocurrency, yeah, I'm definitely in on that.
Oh, good for you. I tried that actually.
Yeah.
I actually gained on Bitcoin, but on Ethereum I broke even. Like back in 2017 when was a huge surge. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, get in on this, and I broke the rule of investing when something goes up. Then it went down, and I hodled for 3 years. And finally broke out even.
Yeah.
You know, hindsight's 2020. Oh my god, it's at its highest rate.
Yeah.
Mining is kind of interesting now. I thought it was done, but with some of these new GPUs that have been, I guess mining Ethereum is a thing.
Yeah.
You can actually get your hand on one of the scarce GPUs.
Yep.
From what I hear, like the gamers aren't actually buying high-end GPUs. The miners are getting it, got it all figured out.
Yeah. Yeah, just like I think that was back in 2016 was the same thing. Which GPUs were like all sold out, and there's people even trying to scalp buy the GPUs and resell it for higher.
That's happening again, yeah.
Yeah.
So you could like get on these Discord channels and figure out exactly when stuff's dropped, buy it.
Yeah.
I did actually upgrade my GPU recently and put my NVIDIA to like an RTX 37, but it was like, oh, buy, okay, website, don't break. What was really interesting about that with the inflation of the GPU, I was actually able to sell my older one, like 2018, at the price that I bought the new one. And I'm like, cool, free upgrade, or with shipping tax, it costs more. But I was like pretty stoked. And I do this again to level up again, like sell it. I guess I'd be reselling it on eBay. Get like another upgrade. We get that really rare one. I guess it's like the RTX 3080.
Yeah.
And I guess you can use it for all sorts of stuff besides gaming when it comes to crypto.
All right, so take me back, like I guess, 2006. Tell me about your career path and all the ups and downs. It looks like your story was really ups and downs, where you hit a nice point and then you hit a low point and you're back to the nice point. It sounds like, but yeah, go ahead and tell me from the beginning.
So you remember when you left Taurus or whatever? A lot of us left it right after you. I think for reasons that don't need to explain on the video call, cause of controversy.
Gotcha.
And I ended up actually getting a gig with Spaywar. They just happened to try to find someone to place their software engineer that didn't know C#. The one they hired didn't know C#. And I got all that knowledge from Circo and ATG Pack and all that, which is really sweet because that helped me get the job, even though they wanted someone who had CAD and all this other stuff. So that was working with the Navy Marine Mammal Program. And at first I was developing like portals they had on the base, which had technologies, Microsoft stuff, and MSDN and whatnot. But it kind of turned into a bunch of other stuff. I was like really involved in the military, Spaywar, and they wanted really someone that knew IT, even though like on paper it was something else. So then they wanted something else, like someone that knew information security. So it was kind of a jack of all trades role, and it really kind of taught me about like, the big picture. and like how they worked and structure, and it wasn't just like silo. And my company was also interesting too. I think they went through like 2 or 3 different changes as I did all that stuff that I did for Spaywar and the neighboring panel program, and then kind of going to this unmanned drone program, going to the Middle East as a result. That's why I kind of turned basically into a software engineer, into more of like the IT security oriented. It was like an excuse to travel. But that may have also been kind of my demise, like long run, because I went to school and sort of an engineer. I did my master's in some kind of some database oriented, just had RFID. And now
I'm not sure if I'm not sure if the mic is slightly too far. Are you by any chance able to put the mic a little bit closer, or is it part of the?
Is that better? Wait, is this better?
I think so. I think that. Okay, yeah.
Hold on. I might be able to fix one of the. Okay, cool. If that's better, awesome. So where was I? Yeah. So I was kind of in this process where I switched to IT because that's what the military wanted. I thought I was always working for DoD. They do a really good job locking you in. You just that's all you know, and then there's all these extra procedures. So instead of the bandwidth of learning something else, I feel like you're learning all these procedures that are only centric to them, so you kind of get stuck. And that was bad. That was a learning experience because come 2016, that's when we finally lost our contract. They did these competitive bids yearly, when it was like much longer. I think it was like up to 5 years. So then I was kind of like on my ass because all I knew was like defense, and I'm like, all right, I got to figure out something else. So I managed to actually score a role being a director of IT with a small firm that actually looks like Carlsbad. And they actually had a lot of DoD customers. No clearance required. It was cool because it ended like expired at that point, and did a lot of cool stuff for them, and started really learning about the public cloud at the time. And they were on Azure, and I thought AWS would be better for their use case. So I ended up starting to like get involved with AWS, even though I had this director role. I was like dabbling in AWS, the console, writing stuff for the CLI, which was pretty neat, and then kind of just convincing the VP and the CEO what kind of money they were spending, because they gave me like if I was going to be spending hundreds, thousands of dollars, they need justification. So that was kind of cool for a while. But then I guess the president at the time decided they wanted to outsource the IT. Like it almost kind of like worked against me because everything was in the cloud. So that was kind of upsetting because like, all right, I had this director role. And management was kind of a mess at the time. So the company that actually got out the IT outsourced to hired me, and it was really interesting actually seeing what they did with some of the like Azure and Office 365. It was kind of unbelievable that they were able to convince these small office, like medium-sized businesses to they could actually outsource their IT with cloud. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So like literally we could have 6 people on the job and we're handling the IT for 20 companies. I'm like, all right, cloud is where it's at. This is cool. I totally don't see any sort of future. I wish I was a coder this whole time. There's no point in building servers. So that was kind of like an aha moment. And at the time, I wasn't getting paid the same amount that I was as the director of IT. And I felt like I was doing the same amount of work. And they had no idea what they were doing when it came to DevOps. And DevOps kind of requires a certain prowess in software engineering. You have to know how to code to do that. There's like no doubt about it. So I'm like, oh, this kind of sucks. And I actually quit. I'm like, all right, I can't deal with the pay cut. I can't deal with doing the same work at a pay cut. So I left. And this is when I kind of took some time off. And I have like a gap in my resume. I'm like, I need to figure out how to be an engineer again. This has to happen. So it took some time, like applying out there, even though I had to like kind of figure out, okay, there was that time in life when I worked for Spayware that I decided to switch to IT, and that wasn't really the best thing. Now I'm learning lessons learned. I try to do everything, make everyone happy, which may have not been the right thing at the time. So I managed to actually, it took a couple of tries. I ended up being an information security engineer with solar turbines. And that was okay, but it didn't last. My contract didn't get renewed. So that was like kind of another, I don't know, sorry, pardon my French.
You can say whatever cuss word you want on here. What was the time? You said you took a break and then you got that
It was
contract.
like 3 or 4, it was like 6 months and another 4 months. Mm-hmm.
So 6 months break and then you worked for them for 4 months and then that didn't work out?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, maybe information security is not my thing. That's something I sort of did with Spay War. But man, the work was mundane, and I think they really saw that. But there was a silver lining. There was one cool thing that happened. That's when I actually started to learn about ServiceNow, and they actually wrote APIs, and I kind of got to do some of the coding, or at least assist with Visual Studio, which is something I still hadn't forgotten about, even though I did switch to IT way back when. And that was pretty cool because I'm like, oh, it's ServiceNow, and that was where we're now. Anyways, that was cool. Moving on after Solar Turbines, I was still stuck, and I was slumped like for the summer, and I actually managed to find a job with PlayStation. This is where things started to really pick up for me because this is where, at that particular point in time, this is where I was like actually a really good team player. I was able to help. They were proud of my work. I was still a contractor though, and I did what I could. And like, unfortunately, because of COVID, that's where I actually lost the job again. And I was like, oh man. But they were trying to do everything they could to rehire me. But there were two things going on. The COVID situation back last year. This was like literally a year ago. And then PlayStation 5 was releasing. So when that happens, that's when like the Sony in Japan kind of gets really nervous and they don't renew contracts. So it's just bad timing. But I'm still like on great terms with the people I work with. So I had to find something else again, and here I am on my ass. Luckily, there's government subsidiaries with the unemployment at the time between like I guess March and August. But at the time that happened, where I was trying to apply for a job with everyone else unemployed, super competitive. But the good news is, since like I basically knew ServiceNow from my Solar Turbines experience, and PlayStation had also switched to that platform, I was actually able to put that on my resume and apply for ServiceNow, and they took me in. And I like that's basically where I'm at now. In August, I started as a contractor, and I was able to prove myself to the point. It was going to be a year-long contract. They wanted me within 2 months. And I think that was kind of everything falling into play. Like, yeah, the contractual work kind of had some stuff to do with it. I also knew how to code. I guess I knew the IT enough, and including the DoD stuff that I did in the past. It kind of all just like aligned in this position I am now. And that's where this full-time employment came from. Yeah, I think I'm in a good spot right now compared to where I was like 3-4 years ago.
That's awesome. Where would you just say the kind of the dark times for you in the sense of you said you're was it 2016 when
When the contract, yeah, that was the
and
really tough time because I'm like, what the hell do I do?
then was that also was that the beginning of that dark time or was there before that also
I'd say that was the kickoff.
oh that was the kickoff?
It was like trying to figure out what do I do outside of DoD. That's all I've known for like 5 years.
Yeah.
I was doing it.
Yeah, what are your kind of thoughts on private sector, public sector in the sense of jumping from DoD and then maybe was Sony the first company or
No, it was Sim
so
Software. I was the director of IT. That was like right afterwards, like a couple of months afterwards.
what were some of your thoughts of the differences working for either just randomly? Just
Definitely different environment, definitely much faster pace, smaller company. Yeah, because you're gonna end up wearing a bunch of hats. I think the bigger the company go, like depending on how successful they are, and you can obviously research how successful they are. I feel like you're going to see a lot more structure. You're going to see a lot of the similarities with how they deal with ethics and those mandatory training. There's a lot more mandatory training, DoD oriented use because they want to come off as more secure. And yeah, you're going to be taking a lot of more cybersecurity training. Um, if you compare to like what I had when I was working for DoD versus the new company, I mean, it was kind of interesting because I was in such a high role. I think like interfacing with like some of like the owner of it and stuff was a little bit different than like being told by a boss who tells his boss, so on and so forth.
yeah.
I also saw a lot of evolution with DoD. I kind of saw my company split off, rejoin, split off. I found that to be really interesting because I would see like a CEO retire after they spin off the companies and the stock price jumped 20%. I'm like, whoa, okay, what happened there? Someone just got paid. And the changes were really interesting, and I still see my company change to this day, merge and do like all this weird stuff. I felt like there was a lot of stagnation when it came to DoD. Like they weren't doing like evolutionary leaps, especially compared to some of the private sector or public sector stuff that I see. I see like a lot of leaps and bounds the way that they overhaul things, especially with cloud.
Yeah.
And yeah,
For I remember working at ATG Pack, and it seemed like every 6 months it felt like, but it probably wasn't that often. But having to rebid for a new contract, I don't know. Tell me your thoughts if you remember that and kind of how that.
very stressful. Yes. I mean, this was an ATG pack when I did with Space Wars. It was 3 years, and then if they liked you, which they almost pretty much did, they'd extend you for 2 years so they didn't have to deal with all that crap. But once I saw it switching to a year, oh my goodness. We had people trying to do the same job under different contracts, and just like had things were going out the window.
Oh,
At least with the ATG pack, I mean, it was like the same people. There was this one contract, one of like multiple contracts. Companies trying to compete, they got really gnarly.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what kind of situation they got put in, like made them have to compete every 6 months. But I don't envy them. I'll say that much.
Yeah. Tell me about Sony. What was your thoughts there? What did you do? What did you like or dislike about Sony?
So Sony was cool because I was actually hired as an IT analyst, but I got to use my code out for the analytics. Like everyone was just kind of looking at Excel and searching through rows and stuff, and I figured out how to use VBA. I think I'm the only one that really did that on the team that like helped streamline and automate these processes. So I was like thought of this. I got a lot of cool stuff. Let's just say that. Unfortunately, I didn't get continued employment after my contract, but I did get an extension. I guess it was just weird timing. So it was pretty cool just being innovative in that respect. There's also, I learned a lot about Office 365. That's essentially what I was working on. It's basically the migration from on-premise to Office 365. So I got like all the training and greatness of that, which was really neat. Now it's stuff that's going to stick with me, and I can take that wherever I go, including the current job. Customers have like Office questions.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was cool, and it kind of taught me a lot about some of that password, that whole notion of like getting the password to go away, just other things that you can do to be more secure.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool, like seeing that, especially hearing about it. I'm trying to get security certs in the past, but actually seeing it in action on a corporate level.
Or is it something like a security key as a passwordless?
Like single sign-on stuff, and just kind of seeing like the underworking of how that actually works well when tens of thousands of people are trying to use it. And how you distinguish yourself. Active Directory, like seeing how it kind of ties in and stuff that Microsoft has done, a lot of that.
Yeah.
Cloud offerings like Azure AD.
Yeah, I have I've been using like a YubiKey or a solo key, if you're aware of those. They're using, well, I forget if solo key does, but YubiKey also has FIDO2 protocol, which I think allows that passwordless protocol. I'm not sure if it's a protocol. So yeah, you could use that as you put it in your computer and press the little button on it, and it logs you in. So instead of having a password that's insecure, then you have probably, I'm guessing, some type of really long, super long password that's inside that key, and that's your username and password. So you don't even,
Token exchange. Nice.
Yeah, token, yep.
You can do it from your phone now. There's some really cool services out there like Okta, or I don't know if you ever played with that, but you can use your phone as the token and like use a software press. It'll figure that all out. You basically don't. But they've got like companies have gotten so comfortable to like what Okta is capable of and how it can do the security exchanges that BYOD is kind of now becoming more and more of a thing. You can do almost everything on your personal computer, connecting to the portals and stuff that the company has on the internet.
Yeah.
That's just like one example, but that's like the one company that's doing really well. To the point that Microsoft is getting in the way of their ability to kind of advance by restricting Active Directory controls and stuff to talk.
So after working at Circle, what career aspirations occurred since then?
I mean, I kind of tried out IT. I got to see sort of like an example of what like the program offices do with the big Navy. I got a company actually helping me support like getting certified. I saw some mechanical embedded things kind of when I first began because we had access to a machine shop, even though I was hired as a coder. Sometimes I was doing that kind of stuff, machine shop and embedded C. So it was really interesting wearing a bunch of those different hats. I got to travel. I got to like see the Navy actually in action on borders, which was pretty interesting. They put my name on it. There's a piece of paper that got me to go out there. So I could say I was in the Navy and I never took an oath. So that was fascinating, kind of seeing what the Middle East was. I went there a lot too, which was crazy.
Wow. What was your time in the Middle East like? Where specifically are you allowed to say, and what you did?
Bahrain. It was interesting on the ship and stuff. I got to actually do ship duty like out there. It's cool. But yeah,
How,
it's pretty much. What's that? Go ahead.
how long were you on the ship for?
It's like 2 weeks, not that long.
2 weeks. And
Yeah, not like a crazy amount of time, but like I saw that like people that were like on the ship all the time, the cooks, they had like gold chains and stuff, so they were obviously making bank like just doing that and like being on the ship for that long as contractors out there.
yeah, yeah. For that 2 weeks, so were they like underway, or were they docked, or how? Or
Yeah, totally underway.
wow. And
Yeah.
then did other Navy personnel kind of look at you like, hey, why are you here? But I'm assuming they got a lot of.
That's sort of a loaded question, but I'll do my best to try to answer it. Yes, the program that I was involved with had so much scrutiny. Like even admirals, like sometimes visit to try to make sure things were okay because it was going to be this capability that was going to help the military really, really well. And so they wanted to know what like they were going to be spending the money on because it made things more efficient. Like they were interested. They also, want to put their nose in it. So I guess you could say.
Yeah. Interesting.
Mhm.
So I mean, for that the 2 weeks that you're on, any interesting stories?
Just things between engineers. We have this differences. It was way more heated in the moment while you're on a ship, like sleeping in a berthing. So yeah, sometimes it could like get heated pretty quickly over some like stupid crap.
Did you personally feel like anything that surprised you? Like, while on the ship, did it seem way more just everything worked like clockwork, or did anything I don't know, just stick out to you, just memory wise?
Oh, there were always surprises. Power goes out. Shoot, we can't turn on computers now. Something like that.
Ah,
It was kind of an interesting ship because it was like commissioned. That was like the one thing that they were willing to like give us, and like I guess they give other programs that ship for certain experimental needs. Like it was the same shit that you can read in the news. It was like a laser experiment. Do all sorts of fancy stuff in that respect. But yeah, of course, if it's a ship that was supposed to be decommissioned and you're trying to like charge stuff and do things that involve a lot of computers, post processing, that kind of thing.
yeah.
You can probably just like, thinking in the back of your head what kind of things could happen.
Huh.
Especially when it comes to like being able to do things work alive.
Did it start to after or towards the end of your stay? Did it seem did the days go long at all because you're in a ship that you just kind of got used to, or?
Yeah, they went long. I would say they went long, for sure. Especially, but like it was kind of nice hearing about things kind of slowing down towards the end and being able to get off earlier. That kind of promise was cool. And the things that we did on the ship too. I'll send you videos. We were actually riding boats and stuff. It wasn't
Nice.
just all ship stuff.
Yeah.
Just Google search like Mark 18 UUV and you'll see some of the fancy things that the other people on the team were doing. I was just kind of there for emotional IT support.
Yeah. So did you fly in? Did you fly in and then Did you fly into the Middle East and then get onto the ship, and the ship went out to sea for a while and then came back, or what was the?
Yeah, I'd stay in the town for a little bit and just wait for something like that to occur. Yeah. Or sometimes I would just go there and fix all the computers, and they just didn't really see the need for me to go on a ship again. So
How long was that stay for?
it depends. It never exceeded 4 weeks. It varied.
Oh, interesting. So they would.
Yeah, I went back and forth like 7 times as a result.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How long is the flight? Probably 26 hours. I
something like.
mean, with layovers and everything.
I think it would be like 25, 26 hours.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been to Vietnam two or three. No, wait, 4 times. I've been to Vietnam 4 times, and the flights anywhere with layovers are anywhere between 23 to 27 hours.
Oh.
So yeah, I know the feeling of those long flights. Um, I
Yep.
find I find that noise canceling headphones are probably one of the best things to have on those flights.
hmm I would try it. I actually have a funny story. One time when I was catching the flight from BC to Kuwait to try to get out there, we had 15 minutes. We can get to the terminal. Well, yeah, so a bunch of us just ran our ass off and we made it. But there were a good like 20, 30 people that didn't make it and they weren't going to be able to get, yeah, that's just how Dulles is. But it was, they felt so bad that we got put through that. We got a free first class upgrade from, yeah,
Ah, oh,
BC
awesome.
because they felt bad for us and no one was pulling seats because the flight was just so ridiculous to get to.
Wow.
Yeah, that liquor.
Was first class seat pretty awesome? I've never flown
You
first
know what?
first
It was
class.
United. It was United. It was business select. So basically, you get this whole cubicle to yourself in the front of the plane on United flights. It wasn't that. One of my sister actually was able to accumulate that on her way to China when she was studying abroad. But the one that I had was still not bad. It was like literally the seat that could just recline all the way down.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, you got like full access to TV, and they just like gave you as much booze and food as you wanted if you ever like if they're passing by. So it could be like a commendable $400 upgrade to the flight going there.
Yeah.
Just the fact that I got that for free after what I was put through, I guess kind of made ends meet.
Yeah.
And I think one time I did it flying there my first time, they just said, "Here, no one's staying there. You want it? All right, sure." Because they felt bad that they like sat me in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, United was the way to go if like you're not paying for it.
What was did you get to explore Kuwait at all? Like as in
No, the places that I actually got to explore like on my way there, like there was various flights trying to get from San Diego. I got to see like Amsterdam, I got to see Germany, and I got to see Dubai, which was pretty neat. If I would have
yeah.
taken more advantage of this, I actually would have like gone Bahrain to somewhere for like $100, like China, or because like literally to go like once you're there, it's like $100 a hop. But
Yeah.
yeah, I almost got lost in Abu Dhabi, which was funny. I got off the plane and then I had to like sprint to get back on it. I was on the runway, literally trying to talk to people, and they let me back on. Just
Yeah.
to get off. Like, I interpreted what they said: get off the plane, even though that was the one that was going to continue into Bahrain. But
Huh.
if I didn't get stuck there, that would have probably been a mess.
So with Kuwait, were you just working? Was
I was
that?
just at the airport, yeah. No, that was just like literally the layover to go to Bahrain.
So where did you get onto the what city did you get onto the ship from?
Bahrain.
Bahrain. Oh, sorry. Okay. So you spent more time in Bahrain. So did you explore Bahrain quite a bit?
A lot, yeah. I mean, there are certain areas you just don't go to because they're blacklisted. So
Yeah.
got to be careful. But there was a lot of like Americanized stuff. I guess they're trying to Westernize. And what was like interesting to me is I guess people go there for fun, like from Europe. It's weird. I didn't expect that because like a lot of the country's kind of a shithole. You have like demonstrations. Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
Sunni Shiite thing, so that can get ugly real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
hmm
Uh, what was the culture like over there, or did you get to explore like outside of the norm? Like, did you feel you got to kind of see the culture of Bahrain when you're there, or were you kind of more in the like the embassy or the Americanized areas?
I had to see the Formula One track once. We all went there, and they had like a go karting thing right next to it. That's the south that I went down. I was hoping to maybe check out the Tree of Life. It's like in the middle of the desert. It's on the very south part of the island. Unfortunately, I didn't have the luxury of doing that. But I think if I would have stayed there for like months on end, like we're doing, then it would have been a little bit easier. But I got to see enough to, I guess, talk about it. I had to see all the cool buildings. I had to go to like certain areas where they sell stuff really cheap. It's cool. Bought some gold, brought it back. So I
Yeah.
explored.
Did
Yeah,
you use like Google Translate when you try to buy things out there or anything?
it
Or
wasn't like mature enough. No, they all knew English. Like,
ah,
yeah. Mhm.
huh.
And I a couple of things in Arabic, I guess you could say that I get their attention.
um, so it was did they all speak English, like because it's just in that area where the Navy or the Navy base or the military base are the surrounding areas just selling to the military, or like are they, or did you get into like where you think it's more what would I say, traditional areas?
So define the country is in a really interesting state because it's was its own thing, but since it's so close to Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia kind of took over like
Mm-hmm.
all of it, and the locals are not happy about that. So that's why they have these demonstrations. And I guess the Sultan's even Saudi, and they really hate the fact that you're Saudi.
Mm.
So the people that were like Saudi Arabia that were kind of running the show, they all knew English really well. Like the really poor people that were like the inhabitants, because the Saudis made them poor, they didn't really seem to know English, and you kind of had to like talk twice or three times. And I don't know why there was that divide. I think it might be a religious thing. Why there's these really poor people that will like throw Molotovs at tanks every so often,
Mm.
versus the Saudi Arabians that have taken over and kind of like made it a little more westernized. It's probably mostly them doing that to kind of cater to Americans. It's interesting,
Hmm.
but I think there's that, if that makes sense.
Did you feel threatened at all, or just scared ever during your stay?
Sometimes you were looked at with weird eyes, stink eyes. But yeah, it's because we're not the same religion either.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think Saudis straight up just hate Americans, like a fucking portion of them, and like did encounter some felt that way and actually even expressed it vocally.
Hmm.
I'm just like trying to have like tobacco or whatever.
Yeah.
hmm
Is there anything you miss about Bahrain? So,
No, man. I mean, I it was interesting work. I mean, without a doubt, and I thought like the people were more responsive and like working in San Diego, especially like for my group. It was really interesting. Like we got Spain over in San Diego. I didn't feel like I had the help I needed when I needed it. When I like was in Bahrain, there was like too much work. Everyone wanted to go out there, get the tax break, like be out there for a year. And so no one really wanted to stay in San Diego, paying like overpriced rent.
hmm.
All of them weren't making that much, so obviously they wanted to be in this place where they get a tax break on their low salary and get free rent and stuff.
Yeah.
Then they come back and buy a house. So I thought that was pretty cool. I would say, a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, when I was on the ship and stuff, those were like some of the biggest paychecks that I got. That's since been superseded by working for private sectors like PlayStation and ServiceNow. I
Yeah.
get more from them, but at the time, that was like the biggest paycheck of years.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah.
That the Bahrain experience sounds interesting. I understand what you're saying. Like a country that's torn by its politics, and if Saudi Arabia is trying to dabble in over there, I could see how the just the culture and the things are, if the war or the hate, was when you're in Bahrain, did you see, or was there a war effort, or was it pretty calm, or was it just kind of the tension?
There was demonstrations, and there are areas that would be shut off for us U.S. people to go to. There were tanks ready, like the military ready for a demonstration that protesters would do, and it would probably be on the level of like BLM, Molotov being thrown to the tanks. And this was like a regular occurrence too. It's happening like all the time because they're just really upset that they have a Saudi leader. People that are poor have a Saudi leader because I guess they're not on the same page with religion and they feel oppressed as a result.
Yeah, damn, that's crazy. So after After, or was that before? Was that Sony? Was Sony before or after that? Sony was after,
Sony was after, way after. Mhm.
way after, and then after Sony was ServiceNow.
Yep, that's right, correct. Mhm.
Yeah. Um, what can you tell me just about ServiceNow?
Yeah, it's really fast paced. It's super cloud experiencey stuff, but it's kind of in line with what I learned in school with like being able to do data flow and flow design. But it's really interesting that you can actually do these flow diagrams and whatnot, and then it turns into something functional, doing all sorts of stuff on your back end. So that's kind of cool. I think it's a really good spot for me. It's working for the government again. I alluded to that. It's we got 30 customers, government entities I can't really mention, unfortunately, here on this call, but
That's fine.
so I kind of got that mentality. They mentioned keywords and stuff that I know the lingo for because I had that experience. So it's a good alignment. I seem to be doing really well, which I like. I
Yeah.
felt like the last two positions kind of got my shit together and can like really do well for these rich companies. Happened a little bit later than I would have liked it to, but I guess here I am now and I'm enjoying it. So.
Does ServiceNow have any overseas departments or overseas?
Um, yeah, I mean, we got customers that are in different parts of the world, but I don't know how often the employees travel to see them. I'd imagine for the data center stuff, if you're doing that low end things, they would probably get some sort of travel. I just don't know enough about it.
Yeah. Any chance that they'll send you to travel at all?
I have no idea. I mean, maybe for a conference,
Ah, okay.
cool.
Yeah.
But as far as going to the Middle East again, I doubt it. I don't know if they have an infrastructure there,
Yeah.
so it might not be that cool.
Yeah. Is ServiceNow is a Fortune 500 company? Yeah. What's that? What do you feel about that?
I think it's really cool. I think, hey, keep making money and give me the stocks. I'll be happy. I'm pretty excited because we actually got the CEO of SAP. I guess he did wonderful things for 10 years, and he just joined like 2019. So far, he's really made the stock go up. So, but he's also kind of like rebuilt it inside and out. Things seem to be like on the run phase of walk call run. So and we're actually buying a lot of companies. We're really specializing in AI. That's public news that you can find. So
Yeah.
yeah, and we're getting a little nervous about Salesforce. They're basically our biggest competitor.
Hmm.
So we don't use Slack anymore, or we try not to. So
Yeah. Looking back on your career, what advice would you have for people? Say someone that's 20 years old right now, and they were to ask you, should they get into programming, cyber security, or should they get into app support? What suggestions would you give?
I think one of the things that they should probably discover is what they're good at. Find a niche and scratch it. Right out of school, though, you're probably going to find out that you're not going to just be pigeonholed, or if you are, that might not be the best thing. You want to probably have some versatility because maybe you're not 80% there, knowing what you're really good at. Maybe you think you're good at everything or you're a go-getter. That's a really great attitude to have. If you can present that within the interview, I think they're might be better. And as far as between the IT, the software engineering, and security, you kind of want to, I feel, have your career aspiration set. I mean, if you're learning coding in school, that's probably what you're going to want to do because you spend years on educating yourself to be that sort of thing. And you had the opportunity in school to kind of align, change to what you're best at and what was best for you. I did that actually. I was computer engineering and switched to information systems management because I'm a social person. Still got my minor in computer engineering, but I think the information systems management that helps me interface and be the jack of all trades. And I thought that was a great thing to have right out of school.
Yeah.
Then once you get older, you got to figure out what you otherwise kind of pulled in a bunch of different directions.
For your 2016, the kind of the dark time, is there Was there something that kind of kept you going, or actually it's something that you did that kind of you felt changed it around? Was it something that you did?
Yeah, I just kind of saw how these people competed for the contract in my old job, and they didn't seem brightest crayons in the box. So I just saw their mentality and then just how they didn't really care about their employees. I mean, it was just a really long ass time I even got a promotion for them. So we were seen as like numbers and not really like getting the respect that we want. And then the fact that they just dumped me on my ass, I guess, was icing on the cake. And if that's like the way I'm going to be seen because I was in the military, and they all were, and it was like some sort of boys club, and it's like something I'm never going to be able to like ascertain to and be more respected. I think that's what really did it. Like if they really wanted to, they could have been somewhere else. And I feel like the fact that they did really turned me off.
When you quit, was that 2015 or 2016?
That was way after that. That was like 2018. You're talking about the IT job at the Office 365.
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah, that was just they were just being weird about my money, and I didn't like that. And
okay.
yeah, I felt like they were just trying to get me to do like the work that I was doing for that one company where I was the director for like half the amount. I just didn't like it. I even told the boss that.
Yeah. Do you regret quitting now, or do you, when you look back at it?
I think I would have got stuck if I stayed with it. Like I mean, I guess it was kind of mean to me, but I also felt like there was.
Wait, what was that?
Oh, I guess I was a little bit mean about it because it was so abrupt because I thought like I was going to get an offer and I didn't. Yeah. So maybe like because I didn't give them notice or anything, like I could have done that a little bit better. So that might have been the only regret that should have been nicer about it. Give them a heads up.
When you quit, was it the plan that day, or was it planned out and you thought about your finances, or yeah, walk me through all that.
Yeah, I was planned out about it, and I was just upset to the point. It was like just really me like learning how to stand up for myself, which I think was, yeah, it was troublesome after a while because it was 4 months of not having a job until I got the solar turbines thing. But I think it like helped get me back in line with what I wanted to do, and it helped me stand up for myself. And I think I said that.
Yeah, no. I think it's actually a kind of a really key point or important point that you're able to make a decision to quit. I know for the majority of people, quitting almost seems like a option that they can't take financially. So I'm curious what led up to it. Like, did you look at your finances and then figure, if I do quit today, or maybe you knew, like you felt it for 2 weeks or 2 months, and then you kind of told yourself, one of these days I'm going to walk in and tell them how I feel. What was that?
Sorry about that. I just was trying to move the speaker closer, and I turned my work back on.
So was it a buildup of like 2 weeks or 2 months, and you were looking at your finances and knew that if you did quit, you could float for months, 4 months, 6 months, 2 years? Or did it kind of boil up to a point where Jesus, you walked in and kind of said, hey, I'm done, I'm out? Or like, it's not
I emailed.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, I was just like, screw this. Because I just saw that the work that they're going to try to put on me, and it was going to be working with the company that they kind of already hurt my feelings because they decided to outsource the IT. And I thought it was this scheme just to like get me to do the work for cheaper, like the exact same stuff. Like I was going to be tasked as the director of IT, but they found like some way to like weasel and get me to work for this company that's going to pay me less to do the exact same thing. And that was kind of insulting.
So they wanted to pay you less to put yourself out of a job.
They were going to pay me less to do the same shit that I was doing. And that's like, it seemed like the scheme between the two companies. Like they would just deal with me. Yeah.
Oh, I heard it as, okay, I see.
I can clarify. Or
Yeah, clarify, yeah.
Yeah, so I think I had mentioned that some software AI wanted to outsource their IT, and as a result of that, I was affected because I was left without a job. Then all of a sudden, this IT company wants to hire me. That was already pay cut, and it took a while for me to actually get to the point where I was going to start helping the company, my old company, and from there, that's when I think I quit when I started getting that task because I'm like, wait a minute. They could just get me as the director of IT. I'm like a number to them. They just want to get the work out of like the same work out of me for cheap. No, fuck that.
Yeah, yeah. Gotcha.
That's what I meant by it being a scheme.
Yeah, yeah. That's understandable. And I think to some, I would think that a lot of people would roll with it, and that unfortunately, they may not be in a financial situation to actually quit. So I think it's a fantastic thing that you're able to quit and then months later find something that was better
Oh,
suited.
I could see that being really challenging out of college. But at that point, I had like 11, 12 years under my belt. So
Yeah. Yeah.
mm,
So
I knew
then,
to figure it out. So, like I was pretty confident I was going to figure it out because at the time, the economy was pretty good.
yeah.
Mm.
Heck, and then even tell me, you mentioned in the email that you're surprised that your girlfriend stayed with you. Now, that might sound like an embarrassing thing, but I think well, shoot, should I tell my personal story? Like I went through a car accident 5 years ago,
Oof.
and it broke my ankle, and I was under Oxycontin, the opioid, and
Mm-hmm.
I had a girlfriend during the car accident, and then
She okay?
what was that?
Was she okay?
Oh, she wasn't in the car accident.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I worded that very. I didn't mean to word it like that. But so while she was taking care of me, because like, I mean, with a broken ankle and that sorts, like it's really tough to even just take a shower by yourself. Like you can't get the stitches and the bandages wet, so you got to have like 1 foot out of in the tub while you're like laying there trying to rub yourself, and like while you have OxyContin or some type of painkiller that's really like numbing you. So it was a tough time.
Yeah. Woo.
And then OxyContin itself, I mean, there's the withdrawals from that too. So I went through depression and whatnot. I don't know if I haven't talked to her since she broke up with me, but that was a tough time in my life to go through a breakup. Also, I don't know if I did anything wrong. I don't think I feel like I didn't do anything wrong, and maybe it was all the OxyContin. Maybe I said things that I don't remember. I feel like I remember. I feel like I remember everything. So that was an unfortunate just journey. I want to blame a lot of it on OxyContin, but I don't know. So that was going through a hard time and then having other hard things drop on you. It was so when I think about when as much as maybe you might find it embarrassing to talk about, but a girlfriend that stays with you during your hard times, that's gold, man. That's awesome stuff.
Oh yeah, I got close because yeah, I would like resort and be drinking, and I'm like, I gotta figure this out and scare her away. And sometimes we talk about that, and obviously things are a lot better. But yeah, there's a learning experience in that respect too.
Yeah.
I think yeah, now she's doing a lot better. She's like actually one of the top realtors in San Diego, which is really cool.
Awesome.
She made the top 50 list 2020. But during that year when I was having my hardship, I was like affecting her ability to do well. And she's also with this new firm, which obviously I should have maybe been a little bit more empathic, I guess, or empathetic to the new job thing because she was doing the new job, and here I am fucking up trying to find something. It's not even a guarantee. And
I think that's life. I feel like we all go through hard times. It's not like we ask for those hard times, you know. It's um, yeah. I'm during 2009. I went through a almost. I don't know, like a midlife crisis of some sorts. I needed to reset my life. And I actually, I was just feeling sick of the rat race. Whatever my life was, is just, I was sick of being a programmer, and I felt that I was doing really good programming, and yet my salary is much lower than what I saw of the average programmer, or at least with that type of experience.
The numbers, yeah.
So then in 2009, I actually screwed up my credit. I ditched my car loans, and I bought a plane ticket to Sydney, Australia, trying to find a job out in Sydney, Australia, because I wanted to change my whole environment.
I think I was there before you left. I remember you were talking about going to Sydney.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
probably, yeah, yeah.
okay,
So
so maybe saw you a little bit during that time of realization, huh? Oh shit.
yeah, no, I think that's part. What was that?
Would you call that an aha moment?
I would call it a. I want to define it as we humans are trying to live out a life that society has these rules and ways of going to a 9 to 5 job, and your salary may be good sometimes, it may be bad, and some of it seems like just shit luck. And I just wanted to change. So I would say I needed to get away from this and then come back in. I mean, if you showed the 2009 me of what I'm doing now in 2021, if you showed them my bank account or my cryptocurrency or my 401k, they'd be like, "No way! That's no way that would be me in 12 years." So, not that I'm a millionaire or anything, but it's just that person then had very little in the bank and didn't really have a good game plan, but at least that person was trying to find a game plan. And that's really about finding something, trying to find something that you're happy with, that you could do day in, day out. I think that's maybe humans, or maybe that's a first world problem. Maybe that's my first world problem. I'm trying to find something that I can repetitively do and be happy day in, day out.
Competitively? See, I like change. That's me. I think it's kind of cool getting something different. And when I help ServiceNow, we're helping like a bunch of different government entities, and change of pace is kind of cool. I mean, it's such a vast system, and when you get like a customer inquiry, like it's so curveball. It's really cool, like because then I get fascinated about learning something new and implementing it. I guess I work a little bit differently in that respect. Doing the same
Yeah.
mundane thing, like let's say working at a data center and you're like checking stuff off. I kind of did that in the past. That was called information assurance, and that was when I was doing more of the security stuff. And that was doing that for DoD and solar turbines was I was like redundant and did not agree with
Yeah. No,
that.
no. All the tangent stories are great. When I say repetitive, I guess it's whatever the individual can do to live a daily life. Like meaning, programming to me, I love programming.
God, it's like a routine. Is what you're indicating.
Whatever the routine is, it could be whatever the routine is. Working on cars, it could be working on a farm, it could be going for hikes, it could be extreme sports. If that's a sustainable, repetitive thing that someone could do, that's probably a happy life. That's just my theory. I could be wrong on how I think of life, but I think if I find something that I'm repetitively happy with, then I think that would be a happy life.
Mm-hmm.
So whether for me the repetitive thing might be, I would like to maybe do software for a startup company, and then maybe continually look for startup companies. That would be fun, but I don't think that is fully sustainable, because the startup life is pretty harsh. Meaning, your pay may be good and it may be bad, or it may be inconsistent, and or you may be starting a startup strictly for the big payoff later.
Yeah, that's a risky take, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So when I say repetitive, I kind of just whatever anyone's repetition is, whatever their routine. Yeah. So in 2009, that's what I was just kind of fed up with the rat race that I was in my life at that time.
Mhm.
2000.
There you go. The mentality I feel like here too also makes it way like, oh, you didn't do this. Oh, you didn't do this. Right? It's a little tough here with some of the people.
Yeah. If you could go back in time, would you change any of the jobs you applied for, any of the jobs that you stayed at? What would you change?
Yeah, I kind of wish I left the Harris Corp one, or sorry, like the one that I did at Spaywar, because I should have known that it was going to turn into like some dead end. Um, and that's kind of what was interesting about what it turned into. And like between 2008 and 2016, like I was starting to code, and then because we're getting more basically scrutiny from the military, I wasn't coding anymore. I was like doing some bullshit Excel stuff. I'm like, come on, on paper, I'm a software engineer, and I got to do this crap. And it was what I was seeing is some of the government employees that I was working with, they were starting to become like the leads because they go through their tenure as like a new hire. I'm like, okay, this sucks. Just seeing someone that started 3 years after me and now they're telling me what to do. What's this?
Yeah.
And it was just the life of a contractor. Maybe back then, before all that, I should have maybe switched the government role. Maybe it would have been a little different. But now, when I see what my friends are going through that are still there, that work for the government, I don't envy them. So maybe just getting out of there entirely would have been cool. I think that's one thing I'd like to change. The other is I would have tried to like put my foot down and stick with software. That would have required the change at the time. That's something I totally should have stuck with. But switch to IT and travel. Yeah, it's great. Okay, cool. You get all this experience like working and doing this cool stuff. But the second that you don't have that anymore, it was like really tough. So really realizing like being locked into that environment that may have not been the best environment for me, finding that out sooner would have been cooler. But
Yeah.
I mean, it was great. It was a great stepping stone. But I think there's a point in time where now I need to like walk up the stairwell.
Yeah, but with ATG pack, we were working with C Sharp and SQL.
Mm-hmm.
Oddly, every job thereafter was almost that. I um, went to I worked at on the Navy base in Coronado Island for a short time. Uh, C Sharp SQL database. Oh, I guess I did. Then I went to work at UCSD. That one was PHP and Oracle database, but I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so similar in the. I mean, I guess any programming language and database, they're fundamentally so similar because you're just storing data and you're just programming code and doing logic. But I think was that the only one? Then I worked at an insurance company. What were they doing? Man, I don't even remember. I think was it PHP and SQL, and
Yeah,
then
if you can learn it quickly, then you're a good software engineer.
yeah,
Yep.
and then worked for a casino, C Sharp SQL database, and then for a smaller company, C Sharp and SQL database. Yeah, it was. So it feels like C Sharp and SQL database has been my thing for forever. It feels like.
Tell me about the casino work. Because
Yeah, it was the casino was very corporate. So it felt like a corporate setting. So meaning you report to a manager, then that manager had a director, then the director had the VP had the CIO had the CEO, and I was I would say I was a bit atypical. Like I would often email directors when I should probably go through my manager and have the manager email directors, but nobody stopped me. So I just kept on coordinating meetings with directors, and directors would start to get to know me, and they're like, "Oh, this guy could get stuff done," and I would start to know each department, and I knew their needs and their what they're good at, what they're bad at, and what I could help them with. So I like to call myself more of a software engineer than a programmer, because I was connecting all the dots. I was talking to this department saying, "Hey, we're gonna work with these offers." So we would take player data, people that's gaming at the casino, and then we would figure out offers. You know, like if someone played $50,000 and they're offered like a free room based on the algorithm. So then I would talk to the hotel reservations department and see their managers like, hey, we're going to put these offers out so that on the internal website, when you get these offers and these offers, you get a choice between free room stay during the weekend. No, free room stay during the weekday, or discount during the weekend, or gaming play. So there's like these or packages, this or this or this, and so but the corporate side of things was really interesting, because there are times where the directors love talking to me, but then if I start planning something that they don't like, then they try to pull out their director card and be like, no, 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 I don't like that. We're not doing that. But it was very childish the way that it was that it played out. The corporate world is almost just like, it almost felt like high school over again, but people are just older. It was just a bunch of little children.
I thought that was any job.
Okay, yeah, yeah. No,
uh,
I think you're exactly correct. I guess going into the corporate world and that corporate feeling on that, I thought it would be more mature. I thought people would be somewhat accountable by HR or by their peers. Maybe another director would say to that director, like, "Hey, you're out of line. You shouldn't be doing that." But no, it was literally whatever director had more power or what VP had more power, and they just pushed their way through. It was a bit sad that I feel humans, when you put groups of humans together like that, they just do bad. I think one on one, I think we humans seem to be good for some reason, one on one. But in group settings and the masses, I think we're a bad species.
well, yeah, that's just because of the whole different personalities in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that goes on and on. I've heard many arguments, but yeah, it's crazy. Just having to
Yeah.
overcome that.
Yeah.
And
So,
to the conflict that I guess the 16 different variants, and
yeah.
then that's going to stir up like other people that have that personality that like has to be vocal. That would be my old take on it.
Yeah. Did you feel there was a corporate feeling at Sony?
Oh yeah, no, there definitely was because there are people in charge and there are people that've been there forever. Um, but it was really siloed too. Sony's huge. They have like 8 or 9 different factions. They have like 3 corporate branches, and then they have like one doing like Sony Pictures, one doing PlayStation, electronics, biometrics. Like I guess camera technology is their own little silo. The one thing that I was doing though kind of encompassed them all, the Office 365 migration.
Mm-hmm.
What I was really stoked about is I guess the stuff that I did was helping these people that weren't as good as like being the liaison for the Office 365 migration. There's a little Sony thing. So what I kind of indoctrinated and all the code that I wrote became law as they migrated everyone, because there was like tens of thousands of accounts that needed to like go to Microsoft. One of the crazy things that was kind of thought of Sony though was they were kind of Microsoft was seen as the enemy because they make Xbox and now we're relying on their technology and now we're going to the cloud. What
Yeah.
if they just kind of tweak a couple of things? So where it got really corporate is kind of the the way that the different groups were seen. Obviously, the people designing the PlayStation 5 got this white glove treatment, and like that was very similar to people that were really high up because they're doing something really cool. I guess PlayStation is Sony's biggest cash cow, so therefore, the people inventing the new PlayStation 5 should probably be treated that way, even though they're like on the engineering level. And then you saw people that were part of security. I'd never seen my boss so pissed when there was something going wrong with that. because I guess there's fraudulent detection and all this other crap that they do that the security group was involved with. And then when it came to like the higher ups, yeah, I mean, they needed white glove treatment. They needed like literally someone standing next to them, like when they're using their email the next day after migration. So that was, yeah. But as far as the high school mentality, I think everyone there was in high school but had video games.
Yeah. I mean the high school I meant the high school mentality, like.
No. That's like kind of like the figure that I'm using. Yes, there were interesting qualms and stuff.
Okay.
But then there were video games. Like there were like events all the time in our ballroom, like competing. They had like alcohol everywhere, and this like shit was happening all the time. So that I think really cleared the air a bit. Like some of the higher ups drank, you could have a beer with them and talk, instead of this bad blood always being lingering in situation, or like in the office.
Yeah, some of the jobs that I've been at, it felt like as a programmer, some of the bosses want to chain you to your desk. It was at least for a programmer. For me, I like to put in really hard time and then also rest. Like I think as a programmer, your mind has to think of the code more as art than hard labor, I guess.
Yes. Okay. Totally. I think that's the adage: work smart, not hard, and that's where software engineering can really come into play.
Yeah. And some of the places I've worked at, I felt like the bosses just treated me like a number, and I had to sit at my desk exactly for 8 hours in that day, clock in, on time and clock out, even though there wasn't a clock. But my manager, it was almost down to the minute. Like he would be upset if I was standing up, I was getting ready, packing up for the day a minute early. It was just weird to think of software engineering like that. It really, in my opinion, it felt like you're stuck there for 8 hours, so your mind is not as happy, or at least the way you're chained to your desk. So I don't know if I was producing as much code as I could if I could work at my leisure. So
Yeah. That's I feel kind of what I felt when I wasn't really seen as an employee. I was seen as a number, and then the bosses didn't really give a shit about me.
Yeah.
It sucks too. I can feel you actually, because I feel I was put in a situation like that because I was doing engineering, but never was really in the military and had this job. And I had however long, and the management was kind of coming in and figuring it all out. They didn't know how to manage. We've all been there, right?
Yeah. You ever bring it up to any of your managers?
By pass or
Like in those situations where you feel like you're just a number to them, and
I think I did actually. I think one of the floor that's where such a short tenure. I actually was very vocal to the point that he wanted to shut me up, and that's probably why my contract didn't get renewed. Being disrespectful. He was a bad manager. Yeah.
I was kind of in the boat of, I tried to persuade the manager where I would say things like, "Hey, maybe I could produce more work if you let me come in at 9 a.m. instead of 8 a.m. Or, hey, I could probably produce more work if you let me work at home maybe a couple hours a week or something." That was my approach.
Yeah, I mean, I would always discuss when I wanted to work from home. That happens all the time. I think I talk to my manager all the time and say, "Hey, can I do this?" That's why I've got this Wednesday, Thursday schedule that I currently have, and why we can interview. Oh yeah, I fully ask those kind of questions. See, I thought the way you're phrasing it is, have you ever stood up for yourself in maybe the not most professional manner? And that's also the answer. That's definitely once.
Well, those are interesting stories too.
Yeah, no, it was really weird with this boss dude at Solar Turbines and doing security, and I think he saw me as a threat, or like because other people liked me more than him.
Yeah.
But I found it really interesting because that's actually where I was pretty high up for a pretty big company. I was like literally 2 levels down from the CISO of Solar Turbines, and I guess he was a certain way. The problem was he was like someone that was really good at design. I saw like all the good stuff that he did in Visio when it came to describing the architecture of how we're secured as an enterprise. And they had like a system that was really similar to how the military classified information. And that was all done by him. So he was more this person that should be in the underworkings and doing that kind of orchestration and the architecture with other engineers. When it came to managing, that just wasn't his strong suit. And I can respect the man's work, but not the management style that he was coming towards. And people were like circumventing him, otherwise they're threatening to quit. They're saying, I will talk to CISO, not you. Or I just felt that aura, and I was told that aura, because I guess this is the kind of manager that this individual was. You should be an engineer, not telling people what to do. But it was just kind of a funny coincidence. Like when they decided not to renew my contract, that he also got put in that role where he was with the other architects and stuff. I think that was like some CISO, who's actually a really cool guy, like listened to all the employees and thought this was like the best course of action for this dude that didn't know how to manage.
Huh. Well, we'll just talk random stuff. What hobbies are you into?
I still love computers. I think when you last saw me, I still love the hardware. You just heard me talking about GPUs and buying those. That's still a passion that I have. I play more with embedded devices now, like Raspberry Pi.
Oh, what are you doing with the Raspberry? Like what?
Yeah, I think I set them up as like torrent boxes and Pi holes. I want to start putting Microsoft or like Windows IoT to see what those capabilities are.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, and just learning like SSH and trying to figure out how to make stuff faster. They do all sorts of stuff, like kind of a similar activity that I would do with a Linux box, but on an embedded level. And,
You know, a weird thing that I did about how long ago was it now? 4 years ago is I wanted to create an offline cryptocurrency wallet, which I mean I know you can do it on Windows PC, but I wanted to try to figure out the most secure possible way
I can help
to
you with that. That's something I actually talked about while I was at Solar Two Lines.
here.
Get a Nook. I would probably trust a Nook more than a Raspberry Pi because the parts are like replaceable in it. That's like one of those Intel next gen computing, like the computer that's
Yeah. Yep.
keep it completely offline
Yep.
and literally go back and forth barcode scanning and telling to update the blockchain or whatever. Faster.
Yep. Yep.
But keep it completely offline, and then just like the only way to communicate to it is via barcode. But make sure that the barcode app's reliable. That could be a point of failure if like the person inventing it is going to actually send to their wallet or get the information. I think you can actually do the barcode exchange in blockchain, right? Like keeping it offline.
It's a like a signed transaction, but yeah, if
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. So what I did was I bought I want to say it was a Raspberry Pi, and then I never connected to the internet except for the probably the weakest security out of all the weakest security link out of all this was I bought a new thumb drive that never touched the internet, but except for when I downloaded Ubuntu, and then I downloaded the wallet. So those are the only 2 times it ever touched the internet on that thumb drive. So hopefully the chance of a virus or malware or something that wanted to hack this device. So I would take the thumb drive, install Ubuntu on the Raspberry Pi, and then it's 4 years ago, so I may be messing up some of the steps or describing it incorrectly, but then I would use the thumb drive to install the wallet, create the wallet offline, and then you get the public key. So then I would have the public key, put that on the thumb drive, go back to online computer, send from another wallet, send the cryptocurrency to that wallet, and then if I ever need to pull money out, then I would have that thumb drive to sign the transaction from that wallet. So that's how, the closest, or one of the, at least at that time, I thought the most secure way, or one of the most secure ways to do it.
Yeah, because I'll tell you another thing that like kind of turned me off from Bitcoin. Some of those exchanges. You ever heard of Cryptopia?
Yes, yes.
I had some coin in them actually, and now I can't get it
Oh
because
no.
yeah, they went completely down. But yeah, I think that was quite an appreciation. Bought back in November of 2018, and now it's probably worth at least 6 or 7 times more, which is kind of unfortunate because they're really making me jump through hoops to get like account access again. Kind of pissed. So like something like you just explained makes sense to me.
Yeah. For any of my large, quote unquote large, so whatever someone deems as an amount that's large to them, I suggest create an offline wallet and handle it, like if you gotta do a paper private key, put your private key on paper, or print it on metal, or have those treasure wallets, treasure keys. I'm not exactly sure what they're called, or have those metal hardware wallets where it has like the letters and numbers that they're like small letters and numbers, and you slide it in so it maintains the key.
Like a hard token?
No, it's a physical metal device, and you have like these punched letters that you slide into a line on the. It's just, and then you lock in the. You could close that
Oh yeah.
code.
Okay. I think I know what you're talking about. And
Yeah.
then that's like basically doing the garage door trick that allows you access to it.
It would be like the private key. So if you ever need to get access to that wallet, if you go anywhere like for example, a wallet app that takes in a private key, you could type in the private key into that app and then send a transaction
Mm-hmm.
that way. So that's one way to store private keys. And then take it up a notch would be to have it printed on metal wallets, have your private key printed on like 4 or 5 different metal plates, and then
Mm-hmm.
store the metal plates in different locations. So you have to get like 4 out of 5 to combine it into one key. So
Oh,
yeah,
that makes sense. I mean, what are these whales doing that have like billions invested in it?
that's what I hope that they're doing. I hope they're doing that.
Yeah,
That's what I would be doing if I had that much.
that's cool. What do you think of Dogecoin right now? Like Elon Musk just kind of posts something on Twitter and then it's kind of
My
going down.
Yeah, my friend just messaged me that morning, and then his response was
It
maybe
happened
Elon.
again today.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yep. My friend said maybe Elon owns. Actually, my theory is Elon likes to troll. I actually love Elon. I think besides the trolling. If I had to pick one person that I think is the best influential positive impactor of in the United States, I think I would name Elon Musk. I think he is, with his SpaceX, Tesla, Boring Company, I think
Mhm.
he's doing things that is just freaking amazing. With him messaging about Dogecoin, it's unfortunate that his understanding of crypto, oddly, either maybe he really does understand crypto, but I don't think he does by his messages online. So messages online, as in his most recent, I think it was yesterday, his talk with Vlad, whatever, the CEO of Robinhood. So there was a conference call with the CEO of Robinhood, and it was awesome. Where Elon Musk was like, "Hey, Robinhood CEO, did you shut down the trading with GME stock? Was there something behind the scenes? Are you protecting the whales back there, the rich hedge fund managers?" And obviously, CEO of of Robinhood's gonna be like, oh, we're protecting the small people, blah blah blah, whatever. So on that, right prior to that conversation, Elon Musk was asked about cryptocurrency, and Musk's response was, I think cryptocurrency. I might be screwing it up, but he said cryptocurrency is awesome. He thinks that there's something there for Bitcoin, but he doesn't think that there's stuff there for others.
Real.
So I think that's where it's a flawed understanding, in my opinion. I view Bitcoin. I view Bitcoin as kind of, if I had to say, like Friendster, MySpace, and Facebook. Facebook was superior than Friendster and MySpace, or it was adopted by the masses. I think that's where Bitcoin is Friendster. I think there's MySpace and Facebook still to be found. I think Ethereum might be MySpace,
Hmm.
and then maybe Ethereum 2.0 may become Facebook, as in how big it's adopted and how much people how much people use it. That's my theory. I could be wrong, and I'm not a financial advisor, but with blockchain 1.0, I'll call it, which is Bitcoin, is just a consensus, decentralized consensus.
Mm-hmm.
Blockchain 2.0 is adding a programming layer onto a decentralized consensus. Blockchain 2.1, I think, will be like proof of stake, maybe, or something that has a decentralized consensus that's super fast and potentially able to do things like Visa and MasterCard. So I think that's where blockchain 2.1 is. That's my theory. So that's where I think Ethereum could be the big Facebook over MySpace and Friendster, which is Bitcoin. So that's kind of my theory of all of that.
So, are you telling me that Ethereum is sort of a blockchain 2.0? Like, I know it uses.
So nobody really defines it like this, or not a lot of people define it like this. So blockchain 2.0, in my opinion, is that programming layer above on top of it. So
Mhm.
that's why I call it blockchain 2.0.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think Ethereum, and then Ethereum 2.0 is actually that blockchain 2.1 where it's taken on proof of stake with
Mhm.
the speed, with decentralized consensus, all that with the programming layer. So that's where I think blockchain 2.0 or blockchain 2.1 is, I think, Ethereum 2.0. There's other coins that have tried to do this, and I think that they've just been unsuccessful for whatever myriad of possible scenarios, whether the development team got too greedy, their marketing team got too greedy, or not enough people jumped onto their bandwagon or understood their technology, and or maybe their marketing team didn't team up with the correct consortium of businesses like IBM or Microsoft, or because like with Ethereum, you'll see things on Microsoft's Azure's cloud services. They have Ethereum built in where you can have if my knowledge on this is a little bit fuzzy, so it may be incorrect. So on their cloud computing, you could have Ethereum nodes set up on your Azure servers. Right. They have a template for that, from my understanding. I thought AWS has that too. I could be incorrect.
I heard IBM was kind of the pioneer when it came to supporting that cryptocurrency in that respect.
They I think that they were. I think it seems like for some unfortunate situation, I really wanted IBM to kind of go forward with that, because I think that would have been huge just on the ecosystem of cryptocurrency in entirety. I think if IBM would have gone forward and built a foundation for cryptocurrency, I think that would have been great. But it looks like IBM might be, because actually just I think 2 days ago, they cut from my understanding, they cut a massive amount of their blockchain and or cryptocurrency team, and they're down to like 4 people now. So it looks pretty bleak for IBM on that topic.
The reason I was asking you about the casino work because I actually had a friend that lived in Vegas, and what he was doing is he was using the IBM cloud to come up with a ledger using blockchain for the different casinos out there, which I thought was pretty fascinating work, and I thought that might be like right up your alley. It could be something to look into. If that's your thing, if you like to mess with blockchain. I personally don't understand it, but I should probably read more a little bit about it.
Yeah.
But he was saying he's since moved on from that position because the casinos aren't really using, people aren't gambling that much because a lot of stuff is closed.
Mm-hmm.
And he stopped that work. He wants to move to California and become a data engineer. But I thought it was pretty fascinating the casinos wanted to go to that length to implement blockchain and figure out what people were doing in a secure manner throughout the casino. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I would theorize the casinos. I'm just guessing. This is out of my wheelhouse. I'm guessing the casinos. How long ago was it? Remember when was it Poker Stars, the Texas Hold'em? Was it Poker Stars, or they went through some big controversial thing where I think they had national access where anyone could jump online and play Texas Hold'em with other people and bet real money. If I remember, I could be wrong. Then they had to go to token-based money where you could buy like 10,000 tokens for $100, but people were still betting these tokens like money because then later on you cash out your tokens. Then the regulators, I think, then said, "Hey, this is getting out of hand. Too many people are betting on using tokens. It's just basically real money." So then I think the regulators or lobbyists for the casinos said, "Hey, we want gambling in Las Vegas. We got a lot of money to pay you off. So let's get this out of national hands and get this into Las Vegas." So then I think currently, if I'm correct, I could be wrong on this, because I live in Vegas, so then I was able to apply for the I think you have to apply for an account to show that you live in Las Vegas, and then you could play Poker Stars. So what I'm theorizing they wanted to try to do, these casinos, they're trying to see if you could use cryptocurrency to gamble outside of Las Vegas, but yet the casinos are still involved with with their lobbyists and their ability to buy legislation to fit what they want.
So that's like a way to mask where this stuff's coming from.
I theorize it was a dirty play for them to monopolize their control of it, if that makes sense. So they wanted gambling only in Vegas, but now then if they could control the cryptocurrency gambling of it, then it's still all in their control. That's my theory.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, that's cool though.
Yeah. I actually don't, as much as I like to think I know about blockchain, I know there's a whole world of it. I still don't know as much as I want to know, but that's every topic really. Everything I want to know more about, and there's just too little time, too much to learn.
Yeah.
Well, so what's your thoughts on cryptocurrency then?
If I didn't get burned, I'd probably appreciate it more. If I was like making money, like I hear everyone else and their mother seems to be doing. I think it's probably the way that the world's going to end up going. I have no doubt about that. Obviously, it's appreciating. Dude, that happens every time I just touch my Mac. Sorry. Anyways, I think it's appreciating because we're inflating with like traditional currency, which is dollars just being printed. Like those sort of repercussions, especially in the last year. So that's why we're seeing prices going up, and I'm not sure. Like, do a lot of other countries use it? I know China mines it, but is it sort of something that's used a lot in like all parts of the world or most of the world?
To my knowledge, so just about 3 days ago, some analyst said that he thinks there's around only 1 million people globally that actually holds cryptocurrency. I don't know if that includes day traders, but even then, that's probably a smaller amount, even smaller amount. Um, a million sounds small to me, but it sounds small to me. So take like Reddit, or the cryptocurrency thread on there. When I see stories of people, so during I think it was Argentina, I might be wrong. During the crisis in Argentina, when their money was getting inflated like crazy, where you saw all the pictures of people just like they take their money and turn it into a purse because their money was inflating like a million
Hyper,
times. Huh?
yeah,
Yeah,
hyperinflation.
yeah, hyperinflation was happening there. So on the cryptocurrency thread, on the subreddit, it was cool to see when some of these people in Argentina weren't able to buy bread. So some people that had a really big heart, they were saying, hey, do you have a Bitcoin account or do you have an Ethereum account? I'll send you uh, either Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Ripple, or Monero, whatever it is. What wallet do you have? And so people would post pictures of them sending the amount, like $100 or $50 or whatever it was, and then these other people in Argentina have taken pictures of all this bread and rice that they're able to buy, and it was like really, to me, that's an amazing story for cryptocurrency. Now I understand it's a smaller subset of the community, but that shows the power of what this cryptocurrency can do just on that small thing. And I think that's a small thing of what cryptocurrency can do as a whole. Cryptocurrency, I think, it could be so massive. So, but even just for those small stories, I kind of wonder if it's when that person said, the analyst said that he thinks that there's only a million people globally. Even if he is off by 10x, if it's 10 million people, the good news is that for global adoption, if we get there, those numbers we're still off by is at 100x, at 7 billion people. So cryptocurrency, and even 100x, and on top of that, people that have cryptocurrency, they probably only put in 2% of their liquid cash in there, 1%. So you're talking about, I'm thinking 1,000x, a million x difference that it can be in the next 20 years, 40 years. Just depends on global adoption.
What is your thought about quantum and all that? There's theories about it potentially being able to like screw up the whole thing because it can decrypt in such a way that blockchain can't keep up, and then it can be.
I theorize I theorize it's not a problem. So right now with RSA encryption and like Ethereum and Bitcoin, I believe they're using 256-bit SHA SHA encryption, and they're not using the biggest primary keys, and they're not using 512-bit encryption. They're not using 1 gig encryption. Is that 512-bit? So 1,000-bit encryption, or 2,000 or 4,000-bit encryption. So what happens with RSA encryption? You just take the next biggest. You take the biggest primary keys that your CPU can process within a reasonable amount of time. So that's the beauty of RSA encryption. As the CPUs get faster, you just pick a bigger primary key, and it is magnitudes levels harder for that CPU to decrypt or to hack. So that's where I think if you have quantum computers, you just pick the hardest and the next hardest layer that quantum computers can hack, or the next hardest that it can't hack, and you just use that as your primary key. So that's my understanding of it. I might be incorrect, but I believe that as things scale, that's with RSA, things scale. You just pick a super hard primary key. Right now, I mean, the primary keys that they're using are so small compared to how big these primary keys are getting. So
Yeah, that was just something that kind of concerned me. I don't know what the heck they're gonna do under the hood, but I'm just wondering if it'll catch up. when all this wonderful stuff with quantum comes out.
Yeah. So I think quantum computers just pick a bigger primary key, and then quantum computers will be the same. It'll be encrypting these transactions and whatnot. And so, as long as once quantum computers come out, so hopefully they'll be a bit ahead of the curve, and they choose a primary key. That's probably the wrong wording. They're choosing a higher encryption level that the quantum computers have a hard time encrypting. So we have CPUs, regular standard CPUs now. So once quantum computers are about to become mainstream, just pick that next hardest level of encryption and already start encrypting to that. So I think that's all
So
it
you
was.
think that they're gonna like use the quantum ability to encrypt blockchain before they try to decrypt it?
Yeah, I think that's what they should do. I think as soon as they see quantum computing is going to be mainstream, then start encrypting at quantum level and then get ready for that. So I see it as a seamless transition, really, from as simple as this sounds, but I would see it as the same as you got your 5-year-old server CPU and you got your current now CPU, and if you see that the current CPU is that much better, then just up your encryption
Algorithm?
I actually don't know the wording.
Halo. Yes.
Yes, I'll take that. So yeah, you're just going to up the encryption, so that's all it is.
Interesting. Cool.
Yeah. So I do think cryptocurrency is the future. With the genie's out of the bottle, you can't destroy cryptocurrency. You'd have to destroy every server in the world. I'm guessing with an EMP bomb globally, you'd have to EMP every nook and cranny in the world, and that includes supposedly one Ethereum company. They actually bought a military mountain, and they put a server in the mountain. So even with an EMP, supposedly it can't reach that underneath in the mountain. So they have a server running down there. Supposedly, I don't know if it's true. That's what I heard. I think that's fantastic if they did that.
Yeah, Ethereum's cool because you can still mine it.
Yeah.
I guess you get an RTX 3080, which I looked into. People making like $10 a day.
Yeah.
Like, I want one of these. It'll pay for itself in like 3 months.
Yeah. A factor on that is holding too. Even if you mine now, like what the value of Ethereum today, I forget, was like 1,500 or 1,600.
I say check the total as well. We got a phone. What is it? Has it been gradually going up?
Yeah, it's at an all-time high recently.
16.
Yeah.
Well, that
So
makes me regret like cashing in and breaking out even a few weeks ago.
so like mining, say you mine that $10. Let's play a hypothetical game. You mine $10 today.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever that equates into ETH, 1,600 or 10 divided by 1,600, so you're 0.00, I don't even know, 0.0001. So that's $10 today. If you hold that 0.001, whatever, I don't know the numbers, but that 0.001 ETH, and you wait till 5 years from now, and potentially that ETH is, one ETH is worth, say, $5,000. So if you hold that 0.001 that was worth $10 today, in five years, that should be worth $30. So there's an interesting dynamic that you have to think about when mining too. Some people, I understand if they're mining and they got a big operation, they want to sell their monthly amount because they want to recoup the electricity costs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of see that, but then it's interesting on the other side because I'm a miner. I've seen the amount that if I hold that amount of ETH, if I held for 5 years, it pays off a lot more to hold for 5 years.
Yeah, but then if you like correct your operations, doesn't that allow you like more leeway for you to spend your dollars on like making the operation even bigger? So just
Yeah. Actually, something that I tell everyone that asks me once they get deep into mining, I've done both. I've bought ETH at the same time as standing up a server, and I've tracked like the the fluctuation in prices of how much I would have profited. Say if I spent $2,000 on well, nowadays, back then I was able to get a 6 GPU miner for about $2,500, or I could have bought $2,500 in ETH. So at that time, that's what I actually did. I dropped money in both. And then I tracked how much ETH I bought and how much ETH I'm mining. And I watched that through the years. And buying and holding ETH was actually about 6 times more every time. So meaning for $100 I spent in ETH and $100 that I put towards the mining, I would have gained 6 times more. I would have had 6 times more ETH in the end if I would have just bought directly ETH. So
that's a lot less time that you're spending tinkering with something.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, exactly. It's a lot less time. You don't have to worry about the hardware. You don't have to worry about uptime. But the thing that I do like about mining, for if someone were to ask me why should they get into mining, I would only say if you want to learn. It causes you to get your hands in there. It causes you to look at how to download the mining client. It causes you to think about, okay, I'm a part of this whole network of electricity, CPUs, GPUs. I'm a small node into this whole big thing. It makes you think about how the system works and how just being a part of it, it makes you think about it differently. And it makes you appreciate, holy shit, if my system goes down, there's millions of other systems out there. So this system is a network that is unstoppable, it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah, there's also that thing with the master nodes I looked into, because I know that like for some of the really oddball altcoins, you could actually master node for them and profit. But like I guess with Bitcoin, like you're just doing it as a charity, standing up on master node. So have you ever tried to do something like that?
So as far as, are you talking about maybe a full node where, so
Well, yeah, that's a full node, and like you basically have the whole blockchain.
Yeah. So like a miner will just kind of process new transaction, doesn't really care about history that much per se.
I thought you'd like what it was like. It was just the ledger, and you stored it on like 50 terabytes, or however big it is.
Yeah, actually, I think I don't remember. I want to say Ethereum was current ledger's 3 gigs a full node. I might be wrong on that. So if you do a full node, it does feel like that one's kind of just charity, sort of. If you're doing a mining server, then you're going to mine for profit, or you're going to mine for yourself and get the coin. So the full node, yeah, I don't really see it for the common user. I don't see a reason why they would want to stand up a full node.
Okay, because yeah, someone was telling me I was making a lot off of these like really oddball altcoins. I can't remember.
If you're talking about say EOS has block producers where they're like kind of the masters of the network, but you have to be a very, very large operation to become a block producer on their network. So maybe if your friend was talking about that, you could make a lot of money by putting in a very, very big infrastructure. Now, there are other ones. I forget if it was NEM. I think there's small, like master nodes where they're bigger nodes, and you could put together some substantial hardware and benefit from it. Now, I kind of think
out of the box, like you buy something and then you have like everything turnkey.
Say that again?
You would have like it was something you could actually purchase. You could purchase just this box that almost acted like a hasher, but it was a massive.
Yeah. If that's close to, so there was like Antminer. Antminer produced these Bitcoin mining machines that was just, you pretty much just almost plug into a wall. You buy it and it's almost fully set up. The only thing you gotta
those are the miners.
Yeah. So
but then the nodes. I know the miners, they do their thing, but then I guess there's like the nodes that could also be profitable. I guess transaction sort of deal.
As far as I would call it, the miners are the nodes. So They're the two. It depends on probably the cryptocurrency. They may have different definitions and whatnot, but for a high level thing of generalized cryptocurrency mining, I would call a miner a node. A full node could be considered a node, but that could be charity, kind of. Or you're setting up for, you could be setting up a full node for a specific cause that you're doing. Maybe you program some smart contract in Ethereum and you want your full node to verify certain transactions. You want to know that transaction is valid or something.
Yeah, I'll go with it. It's probably called something else, a different cryptocurrency.
Yeah. Do you what cryptocurrencies are you interested in currently?
Just the big two, I guess, are Bitcoin and Ethereum, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm probably not going to buy any because it's too high for me right now.
I feel like when I hear people say it's too high, there you can try to play the market, but in the long run, I mean, we've seen every step of the way from 2009. If someone said, "Oh, Bitcoin's already reached 10 cents," like, "Oh, it's too high," and then 2012, "Oh, Bitcoin reached $100, it's too late to buy," and then
I based it
2000.
off what I saw in like 2017, like, and then it turned into like $3,000.
Yeah. So
It's
I
just
think,
a little like Batman horn or whatever.
yeah. So I
So
think
maybe it was down to 10 grand, but like that's so speculation.
with the way that cryptocurrency is global and that only maybe if only 1 million people are involved and a fraction of their liquid assets are involved too, I think Bitcoin being at what was it at 30, is it 35,000? I might be wrong. Currently 35,000. If we're magnitudes away, where cryptocurrency itself can 1,000x or 10,000x or more. So when I hear those, what that recent, there's been two analysts, one from J.P. Morgan and then one, I forget the other one, what bank he works for or institution, but they're both saying around, I think like 150,000 for Bitcoin at the end of this year that they're analyzing. I see that possible. I could see it going down. I could see it going up. But as the adoption happens, I think the prices are going to continually go up in the long run. It's
Oh
going to
yeah, it's
have
only the long run. I just want to be there in the short run when it's like low.
short runs. To me, that's too much of a gamble. I bet long. I buy and I hold for years. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm just pissed at the exchanges. Like, obviously, I would be winning if they weren't sketchy.
Yeah. Oh, that sucks. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. A big. Yeah. A lot of the on Reddit, a lot of the cryptocurrency community is like, yeah, hold your own keys. If you can hold your own keys, and you don't have to worry about the exchanges.
Mm.
Yeah.
I do have Coinbase. I think I saw something in them on one of my accounts.
Yeah.
I had them when they were GDocs.
Yeah. Yeah. There's for the US customers, we got Gemini, Coinbase, and Kraken. I think they're the three exchanges you were able to put US cash and buy cryptocurrency with.
Nice.
What habits do you have daily that greatly impact your life?
Habits. Uh, Sometimes I can procrastinate, I guess. I game a lot, but I feel like that's not as much of a problem now. That's like pretty much the only thing you can do. That was just mostly getting in the way of my social life because it seems kind of taboo or non-PC, like when you're like in your 30s. But now, like that everyone's doing it, it seems like a better thing.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes I get antsy to see like a festival or like to see live music, so I'll get FOMO. But that's kind of phased out too with COVID.
Well, once COVID comes back in, I would imagine festivals are going to flourish. Everyone's going to want to be outdoors.
Yeah, totally. But I think like the anxiety by not going will probably go away.
Is
I
it?
don't know. I guess I could be like neater with like the way I organize and stuff.
Yeah. Is that a bicycle in the background? Is that yours?
The bicycle. That's two mountain bikes actually. This is my girlfriend's Santa Cruz Juliana, and this is the Scott Spark 20. We definitely need to use them more often.
Okay. I was gonna say, are you an avid biker?
I'm not avid, but we definitely try to do it a bit.
Yeah.
So when it comes to hobbies, I run, I like to bike, play tennis. I'm really looking forward to snowboarding this winter season. So
Yeah.
got some trips planned like actually this month. So
Yeah.
mhm.
What do you find, or what do you know about Vietnamese culture?
What do I know about Vietnamese culture? You guys make a hell of a soup. um, yeah, my parents actually visited, so they got like a dose of what it was like in Vietnam. But
What did they tell you about it?
they said, yeah, I guess like Agent Orange really like kicked your guys' ass way back when, and you guys are still impacted by that. But that's kind of like when you go to Vietnam when you're visiting, that's kind of the first thing that they see is like how that agent kind of tore the country, and they kind of people still like hold it against you, like according to them.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know, not everyone's an asshole there. They met some really good people. They had some great artwork that they brought back, some robes and all that.
Yeah, I went to, when I was there in 2004, I think. I went in 2004. I went on a bus tour that took me from South Vietnam to North Vietnam. It was like a 12-day trip. And one of the stops they took us to was this it was a store that hired, I think, children that was affected from Agent Orange. So it was just a place where these children would make like souvenirs, and you would buy. So you're kind of like
My
donating.
parents actually went to that. Yeah,
Yeah.
they got like a shell portrait my mom did and brought that back. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other Vietnamese food that have you tried out other than pho?
Yeah, I mean, typically I'll go to a pho place and see like different sandwiches, like this pork. Let's see. Those are like the two that really stood out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the biggest problem that you see nationally and or globally for humans, and what should they do to fix it?
I think starvation is probably one of the big ones. I think that's something that we try to solve, but it's like the distribution of food that is the issue. Because certain countries have more, and like poor countries have less. But if we were evenly distributed, I feel like we could feed everyone 5 times a day. Even in a pandemic, okay, maybe 4 times a day. But I think that because there's greed, it's not happening. So that could be made better. And then when you have starvation, that leads to like all the other bad stuff. I mean, you're more prone to getting disease and just a lot of other bad stuff that's like happening in continents like Africa, certain parts of the U.S. I would say, and even Asia.
If I gave you a magic wand, like for 6 months or a year, how do you think you would implement that starvation? How would you fix that starvation? What policies or what government or what would you change to get that moving forward?
Well, the easy thing to do is just make food with the magic wand.
No, you can't. That's the one thing you can't do.
Yeah, I think just the control and being able to figure out where the stuff could be generated from. Like, I guess like the crop factories, they could be better placed, and having the farms be more fertile. Is that something that we could have, and people actually grow stuff in places where it can't really grow? Desert, whatever, that would be helpful, I think, as well. And as far as the policy changing, I mean, tax. If you force the really rich people to give to these continents of poverty, that would be probably a start.
Yeah, I saw some documentaries where they're like certain farmers are getting all the water for their plants, and then it's taking up so much water that the farmers down the river or whatever aren't getting enough water for their plants. So it's just causing where the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, I guess, because the rich people that have the money to pull that water from the river, they're building their farm bigger and bigger, and they're able to just buy equipment to pull more water and hold more water. It's unfortunate. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't.
because you get the real, like the prime real estate rate for the head of the river is,
Yeah, yep,
uh,
yeah,
and they can also afford the better irrigation, so they're more efficient with the water they get.
yeah. Think of at least one person you know that personally that should do this conversation with me.
You get my friend Philip on this
Okay,
because
cool.
like he's probably the only other person I talked to for like 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
I yeah, I mean,
What's he do? Like what work wise or
he's a
hobby?
software engineer, like myself. He does PHP back then. So
Okay, cool.
yeah, he's a pretty good
Awesome.
guy. We see eye to eye on a lot of things. He might be down. Like,
Okay.
it's kind of a hard sell because it's like a 3 hour conversation. No offense.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
interesting if it's like not someone he knows. I don't know if I'd be able to get that time out of him, but
yeah, yeah.
try to ask, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I totally understand. A lot of people think this is a super long format. But I mean, I've done 12 interviews now. I have 11 more lined up. I have 17 accepted but haven't scheduled. So, but I think that the thing about this format, especially certain people that have some really big stories to tell, or their career is like, say, they're like saving children's lives and I don't know, in starving Africa or something, or they're for 3 hours they could talk about it, so it's a lot of time for them. And then another thing actually for me is I kind of don't like the short like 20-minute 15-minute TED talks where I feel like people, you only get to hear that one side of the story that they're telling, and
Yeah, they're talking to you. It's not a conversation.
yeah, and that's, and for example, even if say me and you, if say if you were interviewing me or talking to me, and then say I'm selling you on say cryptocurrency, say I have some type of say Dogecoin, say I just bought a bunch of Dogecoin, and then I want to like try to convince you and kind of lie to you and persuade you to buy Doge because it brings up my value. But if you have 3 hours to question me, you could probably question me and feel like, hey, does he really have interest in Dogecoin? Is Dogecoin going to do something revolutionary? Is it innovative? Is it being adopted by government? Is it doing this or that? Like in 3 hours, you should be able to question me, and I could get to the bottom of is that a good choice or not?
Well, some companies interview people for 4 hours. I've been through it actually.
Oh shit, really? I haven't been. I've been the most is I've had like a 5 person panel, five or 6 person panel, but that was still only like 30 minutes or an hour.
Yeah. So one question I have for you is, yeah, you're doing this interview for 3 hours, but it sounds like you're going to be doing some editing. You're going to be doing some brushing up. Is that going to be like more time? And are you like paying these people that are agreeing to do that? Because now at this point, I feel like you're taking 6 hours of their time or whatever, possibly longer, to make sure you get the edit right.
No,
So
no, 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 no. So I usually take if I interview for 3 hours, the
yeah.
ending product is usually about 2 hours and 15 up to 2 hours and 45 minutes. So I'm cutting out of the 3 hours.
Oh, I see. So this is it. You're going to get everything good from this, and then it's going
Yeah,
to turn.
yeah, yeah,
Got it. Okay, I
yeah.
thought like maybe we do this whole 3 hour thing again and
No, 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 no,
take
no,
two.
no, 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 no. This is it. This is it. And then I try to like, so whatever amount that we talk for, and then I'll cut out any dead pieces like silences or weird ums. I'll take out later on if we said anything that we didn't want to say, I'll cut that out. Yeah, yeah. So like that. Yeah, I think the 3 hour format. Also, the other thing for that is there's a lot of people that drive to work and come and drive home from work, and their commute might be an hour, might be an hour and a half. So they can listen to the first half on their drive there and their second half on the drive home. And some people listen throughout their workday, so that's another thing too. They may listen while they're working, so it's just a long format for them to listen to.
it's pretty interesting. There's like no traffic in California.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm like, I hope it stays like this. Well, so sometimes my girlfriend and I would actually end up driving to LA just for the fuck of it. I'm like, okay, this is not too bad now. There's no traffic.
Yeah, yeah.
You can actually go someplace without having to plan in advance when exactly to leave, or if this is going to take like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Like, this would be probably a cool city, but I can't deal with homeless.
With what?
The homeless. It's insane. Have you seen how Venice Beach is in LA?
No.
Oh, it's bad. Like there's documentaries on it and stuff. Like it's been completely overtaken. It's not what it was, which is unfortunate. But it's like a friggin' mayor and a friggin' governor that we have in this state.
Yeah.
He needs to go. He's not doing anything for that city.
What would you guess for the future of California? Like, I hear a lot.
It's like actually considered a third world country.
Huh.
Yeah, people are considering a third world country because of how many homeless there are right now.
Wow. Huh.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, there's like the super rich, but with like the amount of poor, like it could actually be construed as that.
I wonder if they're going to be able to turn it around, which that's crazy. That's crazy.
I tell you, the current governor is not doing that right now.
Yeah. So they put, I'm guessing a big cause of that was the whole, is it the coronavirus housing crisis?
I think it's just the way that Democrats run it, honestly. I think that there's just been like a long empowerment of the Democratic Party, and they do things a certain way. And I think people are getting taxed to the point that they can't even afford their home, or they're losing their home. The joblessness, that was a huge benefactor last year. We always seem to have the higher unemployment rate. I think that contributes to like how many homeless end up. If you look at the populace and the amount of like the percentage of like people that are unemployed, that adds it to a huge number. There's 40 million people. So I think that amount is like enough to like make a Venice Beach full of tents and whatnot. There's definitely been issues with unemployment right now. They shut down the office. I think that's adding to the number, but I think it was already bad before that was actually occurring. Let's see what else. Then you get a lot of people that cross the border and then they just like throw their hands up once they're here. So that as well.
How come the beaches?
The other thing too is like the weather's nice, so this is like a place of conquest for them because they'd probably freeze to death if they were in Oregon or Washington on the coast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How come you think Venice Beach is all packed out, but then like some of the beaches in San Diego aren't packed out with homeless people?
I think they do more about it here. I think the mayor like makes it a point. I think we also have like the military, so they'll like probably kick people's asses if they're like littering the beach. Like I've heard about that kind of gang activity. Like they seem to really respect the beaches more here, and I think you get these military jarheads that will probably hurt the homeless that litter the beach and stuff because that's kind of who they are. Yeah, no, I actually heard about someone doing that for fun. I was at this party in PD, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
Sounds fucked up.
Huh. All right, Patrick, it was a pleasure talking to you, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.
Likewise, Liem. Thanks for having me on this interview.